you even get a golden golf putter. Today, I'm going to show you around one of the most exclusive, rare, and expensive Rolls-Royces ever made, the Phantom Goldfinger. The price of this is hard to pin down because only one of these exists on the planet. But if this were to go to auction today, it would fetch around $15 to $20 million. Speaking of auctions, best place to find cars like this is spxcars.com, our very own premium car auction platform. Take a look at all the details, starting with the Spirit of Ecstasy, gold-plated. This license plate is around $1 million. AU represents gold in the periodic table of elements. Even the paint is interesting because normally the paint line on a Phantom goes from here to there, and this is like this kind of chrome. Here they've made everything blacked out, and this continuous panel that goes underneath the window makes this car feel even longer and a little bit more villainous because this, of course, belonged to Goldfinger, the main villain in the movie James Bond Goldfinger. And what's interesting, in the back, you even get a golden golf putter that belonged to Auric Goldfinger. That's why you have the A there. Also, very interesting detail. I put my hand there. You see that says 007. This represents the tracker that James Bond stuck in Goldfinger's car in the film. Now, in the front, lots of little details. For example, if you look closely on the seats, those are bullets. Because of course Goldfinger was a villain. Bullets, very fitting. Down here, bar of gold. Goldfinger celebrating 60 years, of course, since the film. Everything here that looks gold is either solid gold or gold-plated. This is gold-plated. The AC vents are gold-plated. Even the VIN plaque is gold-plated. Now, in the middle is the museum piece. This is an 18-karat solid gold Rolls-Royce underneath this glass panel. And it basically represents a gold bar because Goldfinger was a gold smuggler. Up here, topographical map representing Furka Pass. That's the road in the mountains from that iconic scene in the film. And it's actually dark stainless steel, but there's gold underneath. You can actually see the gold right there. Of course, you guys will recognize this. That's the James Bond gun barrel that you see in every single film. Now, secret button. Oh, this is gold, Mr. Bond. All my life I've been in love with its color, its brilliance, its divine heaviness. Auric Goldfinger. I had no idea this was there until I pressed that button. And actually, you look inside, this is the kind of place where you would store your gold. So you have one gold bar here. If you want another one, fits pretty well. Everything is gold. I mean, look, even this space, which is storage, gold-plated. Now, in the back, some more details. This picnic table actually has a fictional map of Fort Knox. That's where the U.S. keeps their gold reserves, right? There's a fictional map, not real, of course, and every line that you see is real gold. It's like inlays in there, right? And the reason for that is because in the movie, Goldfinger wanted to destroy Fort Knox and all of its gold so that his own personal gold would skyrocket. All of these gold lights, this is actually the constellation in the sky of the final scene where they were filming in Fort Pass. Of course, this is a modern Rolls-Royce, so you have your infotainment right there. You have whiskey and cups with the Rolls-Royce in the bottom. I want to quickly mention spxcars.com, our very own premium car auction platform where you can buy and sell some of the coolest cars in the world. Supercars, classic cars, any kind of rare cars. spxcars.com is a place for both buyers and sellers. It's all a modern interpretation of the car that was in the movie, because even in the movie, the car was a 1937 Phantom 3. And I bet you have never seen this umbrella before. You've seen the Rolls-Royce ones, but have you seen this version? There you go. If you're carrying this umbrella, people know you have a Goldfinger Rolls-Royce Phantom. Let's put this back. Oh yeah, that's right. Goldfinger would have probably liked that. A nice little touch. But of course, this car is a modern interpretation of the original car in the movie, the 1937 Phantom 3, driven by Auric Goldfinger himself. Right, this is the original. We just saw the modern version. This is the original 1937 Phantom 3 Goldfinger from the movie James Bond Goldfinger. You can see the same color, yellow gold, because this is the exact vehicle that Auric Goldfinger was using to smuggle gold. So, in the front, periodic table of elements, symbol for gold, AU1 is the same one as we saw in the modern one. And there's only one of these in the world. Now, this is the Phantom 3. The Phantom 3 was the first ever Rolls-Royce that introduced the V12, and this was also the final design that Henry Royce did before he passed away. This car is so exclusive that we can't even sit inside, so we actually need someone specifically to open the door with white gloves. So this is Andy, and he's got the white gloves. Amazing. What an experience. Thank you so much. So this car is almost 100 years old, and if I sit inside, I would probably depreciate the car by a lot. So I'm not trying to cause any kind of damage, but you got the same kind of privacy glass going on over here. To be honest, the new one has a lot more gold details now. This one was filmed, of course, in the scenes at Stoke Park with the golf course. It also appeared at Furka Pass. And, of course, they focus, I think, more on making the exterior look like a villainous kind of Goldfinger vehicle, right? And this is the front. Now, if you look closely, the front door is also a suicide door. And why are these called suicide doors? Must apologize. They're actually not suicide doors. What? But then why do some people know them as suicide doors? So the official term is coach door. Okay, so that comes from the reference of stagecoach, when we used to have horses in the stagecoach. Okay, but then where did suicide come from? Effectively, the locking mechanism on the front of the door hinge, we had no roads, no tarmac. They were rough. Cars would bounce along the roads. These hinges would work themselves loose, and at 50, 60 miles an hour, the wind would catch this leading edge of the door, fling open suddenly, and if you had a ball gown or an elegant jacket, it would catch on these and fling you out of the car. So you just had ladies flying out of the car, against the word suicide. They, however, engineers became intelligent and re-hinged the doors on the leading edge, so that would never happen again. Okay, so you have the front passengers potentially flying out of the front too. And then eventually, was this one of the final models that had one of the suicide doors? Okay, well there you go. I had no idea. Right, very tiny handbrake right there. Gear selector over here. And again, I'm not trying to jump inside and cause any kind of problems, but this was one of the final cars that had coach doors, suicide doors, in the front. Let me fix that. But anyways, that's the original. Let's go back to the modern interpretation of it. To the driver's seat. I'm actually going to be one of the first people in the world to drive this car. And look, my favorite part is that from the driver's seat, we can always see your solid gold Rolls-Royce right there. So if anything goes south, if you're ever in another country and you need to exchange money and no one understands your language, you break this open, give it to them, you know, could be life-saving. All right, right here, hidden button. Let's take this for a drive. I've driven Phantoms before, and I just always forget how soft the steering is. It's like effortless. But at the same time, I think I would feel a little bit worried about driving a car this valuable down the street. I have never in my life driven a car where I have a literal bar of gold in my peripheral vision like this. And right now we're at Rolls-Royce headquarters, and I'm being allowed to drive it around the courtyard. Of course, we can't do accelerations, but it feels very nice to be given the chance to drive this around. Driving the Phantom Goldfinger was like stepping straight into a Bond film. Huge thanks to Rolls-Royce for letting us behind the wheel. See you in the next video.